So this happened a little over a month ago at this point, I think. It's been at least a few weeks, maybe like 5 weeks. I got into a really bad car accident, and it totaled my car. I had a Honda Civic, completely totaled. I got rear-ended. It wasn't my fault. We were on the highway, right? And we were in stopped traffic. You know, like no one was moving. It was bumper to bumper. And there was a huge, like, multi-car pileup up ahead. And that's why we were stopped. It was like a really, really bad accident. I don't know if anyone died, maybe. I'm not really sure. I never looked into it after. It's something along the lines of, like, a driver was going on, like, head on, like, the wrong side of the highway and caused a huge wreck. But anyway, we were waiting in that traffic. It was me and my daughter, Kennedy, who's, you know, she's under 2, you know. She's, you know, just like a toddler. And we were sitting there for maybe 45 minutes. And these, you know, cop cars and fire trucks and ambulances kept going through. And I was on, it was four lanes of traffic, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. If we count the far left one as like the first lane, then I was in the second lane, okay? So, long story short, at one point a fire truck was coming. Everyone kind of shifts over, right? Not a big deal. And as the fire truck's starting to try to get through, out of nowhere, I get blasted. Like someone smashes right into, like, my rear driver's side. Just smashes right into me. They had to have been going at least like 30 miles an hour. No idea why they were going that fast in stopped traffic, or why they felt the need to do that. So they slammed into me, right? And keep in mind, like I said, I was in the second lane. I ended up getting pushed into the third lane, and my front passenger side ended up hitting a tractor-trailer truck. Right? Now, that tractor-trailer truck never stopped. I don't think I did any damage to him. He didn't really care. He just kept going. So the person that hit me, right, they also hit the guy in front of me. They smashed into me, pushed me out of the way, hit the guy in front of me, and then got back into their lane and tried to take off. They tried to do a hit and run, but it was stopped traffic, and there wasn't really anywhere they could go. They made it maybe 100 feet up the road before they couldn't go anywhere. So I get out of the car, and immediately I am mad. Like, I'm really mad. I start freaking out. You know, I was swearing and everything. I'm like, who the F hit my car? There's like 6 different people all like, it was that white car up ahead. They turn around. I'm like, where? They're like, way up there. They're taking off. And I look and I see them trying to drive away, and then I notice the guy in front of me, and I'm like, are you serious? So I run around to grab my daughter to make sure she was okay. She was, you know, crying, like hysterical, obviously. It was very, very traumatizing for her. Thankfully, I looked her over real quick, and she was fine. She had like minor bruises. We did end up going to the hospital after to check her out. She was okay, thankfully, thank God. But so this, like, fire truck, and now granted, it's not a, like, big fire truck. It's like one of the SUVs, right? It's a fire SUV. He, like, gets up next to me, and he's just kind of sitting there. And I'm, like, trying to, like, you know, he's, like, talking on the radio or whatever. And I'm trying to, like, yell at him, like, hey, like, trying to get his attention. Because, like, he doesn't even want to look over at me. And, like, I got my baby in my hand. And I'm, like, trying to yell through his passenger side, like, yo, the dude's taking off, like, and he, like, unrolls the window, like, the dude was, like, a jerk, and I don't know why, but, like, the dude was, like, like, obviously, I'm mad, but I'm not mad at him, you know what I mean? I'm frustrated, I'm, like, my adrenaline's rushing, but, like, I don't know, he was just rude, like, he unrolled the window, like, that much, he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, yo, the dude's taking off, they hit us. He's like, where? I'm like, it's the white car up there. And he's like, what white car? I'm like, dude, the white car right there. Like, they take it on. Like, I'm really mad at this point. And he just unrolls his window and like casually drives away. I don't know why, like, I don't know. I guess some people just get jaded. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's shown up to 1 million crashes and he just doesn't care anymore. Like, it doesn't faze him. It's just like, you know, it's like whatever to him. He doesn't care anymore. But it kind of annoyed me. But it's not a big deal. Luckily, no one was hurt. So we're sitting there for a while, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm talking to the guy who got hit in front of me. He doesn't know really what happened. And there was a witness that was behind me who saw the whole thing. He explained it to me, which is why I'm able to give such a detailed, like, account of how they hit me and everything. And I ended up trading numbers with him just in case I needed him as a witness or anything. I didn't end up needing him. The insurance took care of everything. I obviously wasn't at fault. So eventually, like, the cops come, like, maybe like 5 minutes later. It was very quick reaction time because there was an accident up ahead already. So the cops show up like 5 minutes later. They're like, oh, you know, can you guys still drive your vehicles? They had us, like, you know, pull up to the, they had us, like, pull up, like, further ahead to, like, an area where it was more safe for us. And they were, like, trying to get everybody off the highway. They ended up closing down the entire highway. It was crazy. Not because of our accident, but because of the one that was up ahead. So we get there, and you know, my adrenaline's still rushing. I get Kennedy in her car seat again. I put on some Veggie Tales for her and got her calmed down and everything. So I see the white car that hit me. And I said to the guy who got hit, who also got hit, I'm like, hey, is that the dude who hit us? And he's like, oh, I don't know. So I walk over, and it was like an older couple, you know, maybe in their, like, I don't know, mid to late 60s, right? And the woman was driving, and I'm mad, you know what I mean? But I'm not, like, I don't yell, not at first anyway. And I'm like, hey, you know, you the one that hit us? And she's like, yeah, I hit you. And I'm like, you know, I had my daughter in the car. Like, I don't know what you were doing going that fast, trying to take off, but you could have killed her. And the husband pipes up, and I forget the exact words he said, but he's like, oh, don't put that on us. Like, he started swearing at me. He called me a a-hole. He told me to, like, F off. You know, I'm censoring it, you know, to keep it clean. But you get the idea. And at that point, I snapped, dude. I start freaking out. I think I threatened the guy, maybe, perhaps. I don't quite remember. And it was like a yelling thing back and forth. And all of a sudden, like, 4 cops come rushing over. They're like, get out, get away from the vehicle, this and that. They're like yelling at me. I like walk away. They come over. They're like, what are you doing over there? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'm like, oh, like, he said this to me first. And they're like, no, he didn't. I'm like, how would you know? You weren't there. I'm like, were you standing there? You were 50 feet over in the other direction. How would you know? He's like, oh, you went over there, start yelling at them, this and that. So I'm like, whatever. And I just walk away. They're like, you need to sit down in your car right now. I'm like, I'm not sitting anywhere. I'm going to stand right here. I don't care, dude. I was really, really mad. Like, I don't care. I wasn't going to sit down. I needed to stand. I needed to get some fresh air. I was not sitting back in my car. So some time goes by, whatever. I cool down. I call my girlfriend. I let her know what's going on. One of the cops came over to me and, you know, talk after I cooled down, talking to me, whatever. And I said I needed an ambulance, you know what I mean, for my daughter. I wanted to make sure she was okay. So they called in for an ambulance and everything. As the ambulance rolls up, I apologize for freaking out, even though I really didn't need to. And the cops were, like, understanding. They're like, look, I get it. I understand. They're like, honestly, if it, like, one of them was like, honestly, if it was me in that situation, I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have done the same thing. And he was like, I didn't know that you had your daughter in the car at the time. You know, that kind of changes things for me. He's like, don't worry about it. Obviously, we just had to do our job because we can't let anything like that escalate. And I'm like, no, I get it, you know, whatever. So we get to the hospital. We get Kennedy checked out. She's all good. She's fine. My car is not fine though. The car is completely totaled. We ended up getting a new car, but that's the story of the time I totaled my car. It was not my fault whatsoever. Possibly could have died. You know, maybe I could have died, but I didn't. So that's good. But yeah, I this happened a while ago and I didn't talk about it. I made a community post, but I don't think many people saw it. Just figured I'd let you guys know what happened, and let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think maybe I went a little extreme? You know, do you think I was, you know, maybe my anger was too much, or do you think it was justified? Do you think I was warranted to like approach the couple that hit me? Do you think my response to the police was warranted? Do you think maybe maybe I should have sat down? Maybe I was a little too aggressive, or do you think it was justified? I don't know. In my head, it was justified, but I'm sure maybe you guys think differently. Let me know. Yeah, that's about it, boys. See ya.